Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about qualifying for jobs and submitting applications and getting back those email rejections that says, sorry, we decided to proceed with another candidate. And if this is happening to you far more often than you think that it should be, then there's probably something going on with your resume. So let's just get into all of this, because you could have all of the background, you can have the skills, the degrees, the certifications, everything that it is that you need to qualify for a position to at least get the interview. But if you are not getting any requests for interviews, that is a clear indicator that there's something going on with your resume or your job search strategy. You really don't need a professional to tell you that, especially if you are applying for targeted positions that you know for a fact that you qualify for. So if you're someone who you went to school and you got a degree in health information management or health information technology, healthcare administration, and you went the next step and you sat for the exam and you have the certification as well. So you've spent this money and time getting this degree and this certification. More than likely, you are trying to be on a different pay scale, right? Because entry-level positions inside of the healthcare industry, you can make $25 an hour. The more you add on, the more marketable you are and the more money you can make. Of course, you guys hear me talk about how you can qualify for jobs inside of the healthcare industry without having a degree and without having a certification. But when you do take that extra step and you get the degrees and the certification, that puts you in a different bucket of individuals who qualify for a higher income. So if you have a degree, an associate's, a bachelor's, or a master's degree, or if you have any certification inside of the healthcare industry, you should not be in the $25 an hour range, pay range. But no, that's not where we want to be. Okay. And if you are there, no worries, because you can get out of that pay range. But in order for you to get out of that pay range, you're going to need a resume that is working for you. You either have a Roadblock resume or you either have an interview generating resume. Your resume is either opening doors for you or closing doors for you. If you put in the time, effort, and energy getting the degree and certification, then you have to put the time and energy in making sure that your resume is really working for you. During this week, I've been doing a 5-day Unique Career Advantage Challenge, and there were several resumes that I looked at during the challenge, and I had some conversations with some members of the challenge, and they were talking to me about how they were having such a hard time scaling in their careers and getting interviews and getting job offers. But when I took a look at their resume and explained to them, there's gonna be quite a bit of a struggle to get an interview if you're using this version of your resume. And I kind of exposed to them like, this is what's really going on. It's not you, it's your resume. A lot of folks had aha moments like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize my resume was the reason why I'm not getting any requests for interviews. And if you're not getting interviews, you're not getting job offers. If you're not getting job offers, you're not scaling in your career. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of the real reasons why you're not being selected for interviews. Stay tuned. Reason number one, why you are not getting job offers. You're not writing your resume for two different audiences. It's 2024. It might be later than 2024, depending on when you're watching this video. But right now, it is 2024, and we are living in a different day and age. I've worked in the healthcare industry for 19 years, and when I got started back in 2005, the application process is much different now than what it was before. You have to write your resume for two audiences, and those two audiences are AI and humans. The very first audience and the very first part of the battle when it comes to applying for jobs is writing your resume for the applicant tracking system. Your resume goes through the applicant tracking system first. When you're submitting an application, it does not go over to the hiring manager or recruiter first. They see it last. It goes through the system, and the applicant tracking system is parsing your resume and analyzing it against the job description. And it is looking for keywords and qualifications that are listed inside of the job description to be listed inside of your resume as well. And if you are not doing that, then it's automatically ranking you out of the system as a qualified candidate. And that's when you're getting those auto rejection emails. So if you're someone who did get the degree and the certification and you have years of experience and you're a good match for the position that you're applying for, but you didn't really read through and analyze the job description to see if you're using the keywords that are inside of the job description and also having it inside of your resume as well. If you're not going through that process to see if anything is missing, if you have any relevant work experience, transferable skills, or education that aligns to get keywords inside of your resume, if they aren't in there, if you are not the person that's taking this extra time and initiative to match your resume up to the position, to tailor it to the position, then more than likely you're in the first group of people who's out of the running. 75% of applications that are submitted are auto rejected because it didn't match up in the applicant tracking system. Right? And if you're someone who does not really want to go through this process, in one of my previous videos before, I talked to you guys about JobScan. JobScan is a software you can use to compare your resume against a job description before you apply to the position to see if there are any keywords that are missing from your resume. So if you don't want to take the manual time to analyze a job description against your resume, then you can run it through JobScan and let it do the work for you. It will pinpoint out all of the keywords that are missing from your resume. Now, that's the first part of the battle. The second part of the battle and the second audience that you're writing your resume for is humans. This is the hiring managers and recruiters. So it's not just about knowing what the keywords are and just plugging them in your resume. It's not just, that simple. It takes care of a part of the challenge, but the other part of that challenge is speaking to the pain points and challenges of working in the position. When the hiring manager is reading your resume, first of all, the very first thing that they're going to read is your professional summary. And quite a few people are still using objective statements. Get rid of that. But nonetheless, your professional summary is going to be the very first thing that the hiring manager reads. It needs to be tailored to the position that you're applying for. Your career highlights should also be tailored to the position that you're applying for. The bullet points that you're using inside of your resume should be aligned to the position that you are applying for. You should be speaking to how your background and skill set will help the department that you're trying to work for overcome the daily challenges that they will face in that position. This is what a lot of people are not doing, or some people do not understand how what they do on a day-to-day basis, how it affects that department and other departments in the organization. So knowing how your skill set will help the company to overcome any challenges in that particular department and how you will be an asset to that department and articulating that on your resume is key, because just getting the keywords inside of your resume to make it through the applicant tracking system and not speaking to the pain points and challenges of working in the role is not going to work. You'll make it through the system, but if the hiring manager looks at your resume, just say, okay, that really didn't get my attention, they're just going to go on to the next person that stands out to them. And that will be the person to get the interview. So one, you have to make sure that you are writing your resume for two audiences, AI and also humans. Reason two, let's just talk about the keyword conundrum in general, because there are some very basic standard, keywords that should be inside of your resume as a health information management and health information technology professional that's not inside of some people's resumes. Words like knowledge of CMS rules and regulations, Medicare and Medicaid services, medical terminology, just very basic keywords. Also things like using acronyms and not spelling out the full word. My saying is, when in doubt, spell it out. You never know if the applicant tracking system is looking for the acronym or if it's looking for the keyword to be spelled out completely. So best practice is to always use both the acronym and the full keyword spelled out at least one time each. That way, no matter what the applicant tracking system is looking for, it's going to pick it up. So for example, EMR. EMR is a very common keyword or acronym that we use inside of the healthcare industry. history. But we all know that EMR stands for electronic medical record. Well, we don't know what the ATS is looking for. So we're going to spell out electronic medical record. And don't get me started on the fact that medical record in itself is a common keyword inside of health information management positions. So just by spelling out what EMR stands for will help you to add in the keyword medical record into your resume. The more keywords you're using inside of your resume that are aligned to the position that you're applying for, the higher your resume score is. And as far as keywords are concerned, a lot of times I notice that people are not going into detail about the skill sets that they have. They almost assume that the ATS system or the reader on the other end, the hiring manager, knows that they have this skill set already. It does not work that way. You have to clearly articulate your skill set and what you bring to the table on your resume. So another saying I like to use, which is very common inside of the healthcare industry, especially when it comes to physicians and their documentation, which is, if it wasn't documented, it wasn't done. If something was not clearly documented in the medical record, the coder cannot code that, the biller cannot bill that. It needs to be clearly documented in the medical record what was done. Well, the same is true with your resume. It must be clearly written out in your resume what your skill sets are. If it wasn't documented, you don't have it. It's almost as if though you don't have that skill set. So if there is a skill that you have that's relevant to a position that you are applying for, you need to clearly articulate that inside of your resume. And you probably will have like different versions of your resume. Your resume should not be the same exact version each and every time you apply for a different position. And that's another mistake some people are making. They use the same exact version for their resume over and over and over when they apply to different job opportunities. And then they wonder why they're not being selected for the interview. You have to put in this extra work. Knowing how to write your resume and how to target your resume each and every time you apply to a different position is extremely important. And it's worth the time, effort, and energy that you put into it. Reason number 3, too short resumes. You guys, I know that this is a common saying that your resume should not be too long. It shouldn't be longer than a page or two. If it's longer than a page or two, oh my gosh, you're not going to get, you guys, oh my goodness. I have never, ever heard a hiring manager or recruiter or myself. I've been in the position of hiring people when I worked at the home healthcare agency as the office manager. I personally have never looked at a resume and was like, oh my gosh, this resume is so long. I would never hire this person. Oh my gosh, no. A hiring manager is not going to dismiss you or not consider you for a position because your resume is too long. Okay. And take this advice here, especially if you're someone who has more than like 10 years of experience or you've worked in more than like 4 or 5 positions inside of the healthcare industry. It is okay if your resume extends out further than 2 pages long. Like nothing is going to happen. Like nothing crazy is going to happen. The applicant tracking system will read every single page of your resume. It doesn't matter if your resume is 1 page long, 3 pages long, 5 or 7 pages long. The applicant tracking system is going to read every single page of that resume. The more keywords you're using inside of that resume, the higher you're going to rank in the system. Plain and simple. Now, will the hiring manager or recruiter read all 5, 6, 7 pages of a resume if it's that long? Heck no, they're not. And that's why with the RHIA resume method, what I explain to my clients is that you put the most important information on the top 1/3 of your resume or the very first page of your resume. That's where you put all of the most important information because this is where they're going to put all of their focus on. When they're reading your professional summary, your career highlights, that very first section of your professional work history, your skills, that's what they're going to pay attention to. So that's where you're hooking in the hiring manager when they're reading the very first page of your resume. They're not going to read a very long resume. They are not. But if your resume is that long and it's targeted and has the keywords that you need inside of it, it's did its job to make it through the applicant tracking system. That's what all of that is for. When people say that saying of your resume shouldn't be long, they're speaking about humans reading your resume, the hiring manager. But guess what? your resume does not go to the hiring manager first. It goes through the applicant tracking system first. And the first part of the goal in the battle is to make it through the applicant tracking system. So if you're someone who has 10 years of experience, who has worked in like 5 different positions, and you have been applying to positions that you qualify for and you have not been getting selected for interviews, and you're sitting there wondering, why am I not getting selected for interviews? If this is what's going on with you, if you're someone who has a 1 to 2 page resume and you have that much experience, it's a part of the problem and not a part of the solution. That is what's going on. It's a part of the problem. So you need to have a 1-page resume. It's played out and it's old, okay? Short resumes are hurting you more than it's helping you. Now, if you're someone who does not have a lot of years of experience, who does not have a whole lot of work or positions that you've worked in, maybe you've only been in like 1 or 2 positions, then no, there's no need for you to have a long resume. But if that's not your case, like, do not try to shorten your resume. My resume is 7 pages long, and there's nothing nobody can make me do to shorten it, and I've never had a problem getting any interviews. And reason number 4 why you're not getting selected for interviews is that your resume does not speak to your unique career advantage. As some of you may know, the 6-step process in the blueprint for success, step 1 is knowing what your unique career advantage is. Knowing what your top skills are, your strong suits, the positions and departments where you thrive in, and making sure that you are aligning yourself with those kind of job opportunities. When you know what your unique career advantage is, it helps you to write a more targeted version of your resume. And when you have a targeted resume, then you could work on a strategic job search strategy. If you're just kind of just like randomly applying to different jobs as you see them post on LinkedIn and Indeed and on hospitals' websites, and you're just kind of winging it, then more than likely you are applying to untargeted jobs with an untargeted version of your resume with no strategy. And if you're taking that approach, it's going to take you much longer to get interviews. It's going to take you much longer to get job offers, and it's going to take you much longer to scale in your career. The goal here is to be strategic and intentional with your career and your job search strategy so that you can go from searching to hired as quickly as possible. So if you do not know what your unique career advantage is, that more than likely means that you do not have a targeted version of your resume, and you're probably not applying for targeted job opportunities. So I wanted to just point this out to you guys and let you know that it may not be a lack of experience. It may not be that you don't have a degree. It may not be that you don't have a certification. And this may have everything to do with the way your resume is written and not having the appropriate strategy to align with the version of your resume that you have. I cannot tell you how many times I've had conversations with people or did a resume audit, and I'm looking and I'm like, they told me that they were having a hard time finding jobs, that is the job market, but they didn't say anything about the condition of their resume. If your resume is not written well, then you will not get requests for interviews. So you have to work on fixing your resume. And once you fix your resume, then you will start to have some traction here. You will start to get some traction and start seeing better results. So if you're someone who's curious about whether or not you have a Roadblock resume or an interview generating resume, feel free to use the link in my descriptions below. I have a resume audit service available. If you're someone who's like, I'm not good at writing resumes, I just do not want to do it, I'd rather hand it off and let somebody else do it, I do have a resume revamp service available as well. And if you're someone who wants the entire blueprint, if you're just ready to take your career to the next level and you want the entire blueprint, the link for that is in the description below as well. I'm also sharing a few job opportunities that are remote medical job opportunities, paying close to up to $50 an hour. And then I'm also going to share a remote job opportunity that does not require for you to be certified upon hire, because not every company requires for you to be certified before they hire you. So stay tuned. So today's first job lead is with United Health Group. It is a coding quality analyst position, nationally remote. It does say Dallas, Texas. Here's the primary location, but they are hiring nationally. Now, just a heads up for all of the job leads I have here today that are with United Health Group. I do expect for these positions to come down fairly quickly. It usually takes them about a good day or two for them to get a good pool of candidates, and they usually will pull the positions down. But if you're someone who is watching this video after the date that the job posting is up here, still come back and continue to check, because they are always posting new job opportunities. But this one right here, I'm really excited about this job opportunity because they do offer 4 weeks of training. Let me do Command F and show you guys where it says that in here. But they offer 4 weeks of on-the-job training, Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. It does say remote considered. So if you're someone who applies for this position and you are selected for an interview, I would clarify with the recruiter if the 4 weeks of on-the-job training is remote. I want to assume that, but I can't assume that. So I would say definitely ask them if you are extended a job offer. But this is a coding quality analyst position. They are looking for someone with a high school diploma or GED. Also, at least have a certification from AAPC or AHIMA, either the CPC, the CCS, the CRC, or the CPMA. And they're looking for someone with at least 3 years of HCC risk adjustment coding experience, or 1 year of coder-based auditing experience as well. Now, the pay range for this position, they do have the pay ranges listed for a few states. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. For 11, they do have the pay range here for $23 to $45 an hour. Now, it could be a pretty good gauge for salary negotiation if you're not in one of these states. But if you are inside of the HIM Blueprint for Success program, make sure to use the Sparks framework when it comes to negotiating your salary. All right. But, it's kind of a good gauge. Now, the next position we have available for the job lead of the day is an outpatient pro fee SME national remote position. Again, they have the primary location as listed in Minnesota, but they are hiring nationally for this position. This position does include a $3,000 sign-on bonus for external applicants. This position does not offer the 4 weeks of on-the-job training. But so I guess, they're looking for someone pretty much to hit the ground running in this position. They're looking for someone with a high school diploma, also a professional coder certification from either AHIMA or AAPC. They are specifically looking for the CPC, the CCSP, the RHIA, or the RHIT. And they're looking for someone with about 3 years of coding experience. And they listed several different departments down here. So if you have experience in orthopedics, cardiac catheterizations, neurology, neurosurgery, general surgery, OBGYN, they have quite a few areas down here where they're looking for someone with some experience. All right. And in this position here, and again, they have the same states. The states that they have listed down here are pretty much the states that require salary transparency in the job postings. But this position here, they are offering between $28 to $54 an hour for this position. So it's a pretty good pay range. And again, even though they have not listed all of the 50 states, if you're someone who's inside of my program, be sure to use the Sparks framework to help you out when it comes to determining what your dollar amount should be in salary negotiation. The next position we have listed for today is the medical coder position. They have it listed as national remote, even though the primary location is in Pennsylvania. But again, they are hiring nationally for this position. This position also does not have the 4 weeks of on-the-job training. So, of course, they're looking for someone to hit the ground running. They are asking for you to at least have a high school diploma and the CPC certification. Now, with these kind of job postings, when they list one or the other, when it comes to AHIMA or AAPC, just put yourself out there. Let's say, for instance, if you're someone who has the CCS and not the CPC, I wouldn't say like, don't apply for this position. Yes, they're asking for the CPC, but if you have the other certification, or if you have like the RHIT and the RHIA and you're still interested in applying, put yourself out there. You never know what could happen. So they're looking for someone with at least 2 years of medical coding experience, specifically in the laboratory or pathology space. And the salary range for this position is ranging from $19 an hour all the way up to $38 an hour. Again, if you're a member of my program and you're trying to figure out your number, make sure to use the Sparks framework to help you to figure out what dollar amount you should be asking for. Now, the last position that I have is the job lead for today. This one is not a remote opportunity, but I did want to put it out there for anyone who is in this area. This is with Munson Healthcare. It's one of Michigan's largest healthcare systems, and they are offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. I'm assuming that this is for external candidates only, but I really like this job opportunity because this is one of the healthcare organizations on my list that hires medical coders prior to being certified. As you can see right here in their job description, they have listed the RHIT, RHIA, CCS, and they said that if you are a new graduate, you must obtain your certification within 12 months of hire. So if you are someone who meets the education qualification, but you have not sat for the exam yet, or maybe you did sit for the exam and you didn't pass it the first time you took one of these tests, then you still have an opportunity to get your foot in the door here and get that certification within 12 months of hire. So I really love companies like this that gives new graduates or someone who's currently in pursuit of obtaining their certification to give them an opportunity to get their foot in the door. Inside of my program, I have about a list of 40 plus organizations in the United States of America that will hire you prior to having the certification, and this is one of those companies. So even though this is not a remote opportunity, you can just keep your eye out for them just in case they do post something that is remote. So good luck to anyone that decides to apply for any of this week's job leads. Make sure that you are using a RHIA resume, okay? The RHIA resume method. Make sure that you are using an interview generating resume and not a Roadblock resume. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed the information that I shared with you in today's video. Remember, if you are someone who is qualified and you have been submitting applications and not getting any call back for interviews, and you are someone who does have a degree, you do have a certification, and you are making under that salary range that I mentioned earlier in the video, like if you are making below $30, $25 an hour and you have the 10 years of experience and degree and certification, and you just cannot figure out what's going on, if some of those things that I mentioned in the video sounds like you, if it sounds like your resume, it's a part of the problem. And if you're not sure if you fall in that bucket, then be sure to check out the resources that I have listed below in the description. I do have resume audits, I do have resume revamps, and I do have a masterclass that teaches you how to write your own resume if you want to put the power in your own fingertips, because you can very much well be your own resume writer. You know your work history better than anyone else. Everything that is on your resume and not on your resume, you know it because it's in your head. Until next time.